Hey everybody, Kimosabi here, seeing if I could provide some value here on this Bitcoin chart. Well, let's see what we have going on here. In previous videos, probably back in, I'd say probably February, I was drawing this box and saying that I'm not too concerned with the price until it gets back in the stronger section. It's been hanging out at the lower end of this range. Now it's getting back up and getting acceptance back inside the stronger portion of the range. So if this is indeed the range, this midpoint here would be considered a discount area for this range. So where previous support was, we may find support again. And what that could look like, if you allow me to draw this out, is a repeat of this consolidation staying above 90K. Maybe it doesn't quite like that, but just repeating like that. If price is able to hold there through the weekend, I would say that's mimicking that pretty well. Then the expectation for me anyways would be a repeat of this to come up here and take this liquidity at the 102 range, somewhere around there, and that would complete this move. So perhaps some sideways chop and closing fairly strong tomorrow. If we zoom into the current price action, what it's kind of doing, you're still kind of repeating this locally. So I would expect this to kind of close up and take out this wick, and then larger down moves to come back and support that midline where you had previous support. Let's get an invalidation for that. Hey, we'll just zoom in there and we'll take the consolidation. We will measure the largest move down and say this closes up around there. That would give you the buy zone between 91.5 and 90,500 with an invalidation at 89. Let's just call it 89,000. That's probably where I would put my stop loss if it shows strength. If it holds here over the weekend, you may get a Sunday drop into that buy zone for this continued push up into upper liquidity. If price decides to come down, we do have a higher high on the daily, a higher high daily swing, and we could take a measurement of that to say, based on the closure right there to the closure there, and say that's your higher high. And based on closures, this is where I would look for a higher low. Mimicking that, that's your higher high. This is where you would look for a higher low at around 82,000. Whether or not you have strong support there, you kind of have nothing there. Locally, just have liquidity. But you do have previous supports that may end up holding price at 81,193. So if the market decides to drop, maybe tomorrow or early next week, hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully we get a strong monthly close. But if the market does decide to drop, that's where I would be looking for a bounce and or reversal. Maybe this is your impulse up. That'll be a back test, just taking out that liquidity, and up you go. So if you do see price around 82 to 81,000, look at it as a possible opportunity with a stop loss at the low, 74,000, or wait for a small uptrend to start out of there, and then that would become your stop loss. But for now, this doesn't look bad where it's at right now. It's getting above previous supports. It's not acting as resistance. It just blasted through it, and it might come up, grab that liquidity, and then come back down to that 90,500, 91,500 area. And we'll see if these previous supports hold as support again. That one is as low as 89, which I didn't want to see it below there. Um, but if price does come down, look on the lower time frames for a slight uptrend to start and manage risk off of that. So for now on the daily chart, I'm eventually looking for the 101 to 102 for that liquidity coming maybe sometime around Wednesday, whenever that monthly candle close is. And that would look like a pretty strong monthly candle. Zooming into the 4-hour chart, I think it was on Twitter that I posted this, potentially matching that and having a push up. That invalidated with a touch of 92,000, actually broke below that. So no additional buys out of there. And from there, you did close a lower low on the 4-hour, which then today got negated by closing higher than that lower high. So now the 4-hour is, well, it's kind of choppy sideways, but more of being at risk of putting in an uptrend here after a failed downtrend. Now you have a higher high. We're looking for a higher low into a higher high around 96. And that would just complete this move. And if you want to do Elliott wave, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then repeating that over here. So that's what makes sense for me is we're repeating that into that. Now you're going to slowly grind up and take 96. And then this repeat here would be your weekend price action. If things don't get too crazy going up or down, that would be a real calm weekend. Look for like a Sunday buy setup around 90 and then expect this ABC to repeat up there and break above the 100. That first leg up should break above the 100, I would say, or might smack it and then get rejected and then have another push up to take the liquidity above 100 to 101. Kind of makes sense to me. If we zoom into the current price action, like I was saying, this 4-hour lower high, you ended up closing a higher high than that one. So you look for your higher lower round right there. And from there, you could repeat this move and just get really accelerating, but don't know. But it would remain in an uptrend as long as you don't close below that low. If this price comes down here and closes below there, then you've got yourself the lower low, lower high, and then maybe we could look for lower targets, look for those buy setups around 80,000, take all this liquidity here and all this liquidity here, getting back down to the 81 200 area, something like that. Previous supports act as support again. Hopefully we get that opportunity, but not looking like it's coming just yet because we're remaining fairly strong and we're in the stronger portion of the consolidation. We still do have patterns that suggest more upside. So being optimistic here. Don't want to see price below the 90s. I'd probably manage risk off of that low that was put in yesterday currently and see if I can get a very tight buy set up there and just aiming for that 96, 95, 800, 96, 5 area for repeating a weekend sideways. And then we'll look for the buy setup. Hopefully I'll have an update for you over the weekend and we'll look into it further and maybe I'll look at some other charts as well and kind of get a thought together as to what's actually going on. So hope that was helpful. Yeah, trade safe and keep them stops tight. Have a good night.